remember me?
I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be.
Welcome to the show. You're 1-on-1 with Wes the Sports Guy here on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey, and online all the time at westhesportsguy.com. Bookmark that site if you want to get all the social media links. The podcast link is conveniently located for you there at westhesportsguy.com. You want recaps, you want previews. Football season is just around the corner. We're getting closer and closer to July. Training camp is just around the bend. Make sure you bookmark westhesportsguy.com to get all those previews, recaps, the weekly reviews of the NFL when the season starts. Cannot stress it enough. Bookmark westhesportsguy.com. For this week's episode, by the title, you can tell I'm going to be talking a lot about what happened with the Angels and what is currently still happening with them, and it is basically just a moment of turmoil, you could say, in that they have fired their manager, Joe Maddon. Now, in the midst of what became a 14-game losing streak, yes, they lost 14 straight, and before they finished that losing streak of 14 straight, they decided to fire Joe Maddon, who was in the last year of his 3-year contract with the team. If you don't know the history of Joe Maddon, he has been a very ballyhooed manager and also a former bench coach of the Angels back when they won their only World Series in the year 2002. Yes, it's been 20 years since they won their first and only championship. My oldest brother had season tickets for the team that season, and I have jokingly said ever since, the Angels still have not won a World Series because we do not have season tickets. Although we probably are not the only ones that could say that, but of course I say that mostly in jest. But I'm also being halfway serious, and I've been halfway serious probably for the last 10 years now about that. But different story. If you want to hear me talk more about that, leave a comment, leave a like on this video. If you want to hear more about my 2002 experience with the Anaheim Angels, now the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, whatever the hell they want to call themselves, thanks to Artie Moreno. I'm going to get to him in just a moment. But basically, the whole gist of why they got rid of Joe Maddon is because they were in the midst of what became a 14-game losing streak. They were in first place for a good chunk of this season. Granted, it is now just turning June. It is not a race. It is a marathon when it comes to a 162-game Major League season. But the Angels decided, hey, it's time to make a change because we're dealing with a lame duck manager. As I prefaced by saying Maddon is in the last year of his contract. He did not get an extra option, mini extension, whatever you want to call it. He was coming into the season, 1 year left last year. He had to not make any mistakes whatsoever in order to keep his job. That's the way I looked at it going into the season. I might have mentioned that on my baseball preview at westhesportsguy.com. Again, bookmark that site to get all the previews and everything else. But the Angels had to do this. Is it the right move? I don't know. I don't know anymore. I can't tell what is or isn't the right move with this franchise anymore. I've been a fan since 1995. That is a very odd year to become a fan of this team, or this franchise really, but that's the truth of the matter. I started becoming an Angel fan in 1995. It's the weirdest year to become an Angel fan because they had an epic collapse at the end. History shows, and you can go look this up, they had an epic collapse in September. The Seattle Mariners played them for a 1-game playoff for the division win. Seattle won. It was a thrilling year for the Seattle Mariners franchise. The rest is history, and it's been kind of like crap ever since, until 2002. 2002 was a great year. Started out like crap. It was 6-14 start to the season. You thought, hey, we got season seats for a team that's going to finish in dead last in the division. But they went on to win 99 games, won the wild card, went on to win an epic World Series in 7 games against the San Francisco Giants. Going back to Joe Maddon, I know I'm getting sidetracked, reminiscing about a lot of things. I love this team. I love this franchise. I am a fan. You can see all the stuff behind me. I got plenty more stuff that I could be showing here every single week. This doesn't really pain me to say, but I'm sorry, but Maddon is going to get the axe. You cannot lose 14 straight and not fire the manager, especially at this point in the year. It's a crucial part of the year. It's not the very end. I kept saying, they're getting it out of the way now. This is before it got to 14 games. When it was 5 games, it's like, okay, you're losing games now. Get it out of the way. Don't do it in September. You're going to do it. You're going to do it now. Get it over with. But it became 14 games now. Maddon had to go. And I know a lot of the stuff that he was saying wasn't really putting blame on anybody, giving him the benefit of the doubt. At least he owned up to a lot of things. on his day that he got fired. He was talking to The Athletic. Ken Rosenthal, I believe, was one of them. Basically hashed out everything and told them, for the most part, there was a lot of things that he insinuated, almost outright blaming. Didn't blame, though, but he was insinuating that a lot of analytical stuff was going on behind the scenes where he just didn't want to have everything fully immersed in analytics. Now, that's a funny thing to say because now thinking about it afterwards to Joe Madden, was it analytics that told you to walk Corey Seager when you were playing against the Texas Rangers back in, was it late April, early May? Was it analytics that told you to walk him with the bases loaded, giving up a run for the Rangers to not pitch to Corey Seager? Now, I can understand if you didn't want to do this to bury roided out of his brain Bonds when he unknowingly put something inside of him, allegedly. I can understand intentionally walking Barry Bonds with the bases loaded. That's one individual. Corey Seager is that guy? So I want to know, was it analytics that made him decide to do that? Because he definitely owned that decision, that it was his decision to walk the guy with the bases loaded, and everybody memed on it afterwards, and he owned up to it, and the Angels ended up winning that game. I don't know what the hell he was thinking doing that, but I'd love to ask that question of him. Was that analytical, or was that just you with your gut instinct? In the moment of the game, you just had to do it. So it's kind of funny to hear him say that afterwards. But to go to the whole thick of this right now, and my little mini rant about a franchise that I've liked since 1995 now, is it starts at the top. It starts at the top. Owner Artie Moreno bought the team not too long after they won the World Series. I think it was late 2003, going into 2004. He's been spending like crazy in the offseason. He went and got Vladimir Guerrero. He got Bartolo Colon. Kelvin Escobar was another pitcher that they got in that first big offseason where he spent. He's been spending since. He spent money on Albert Pujols, C.J. Wilson, Josh Hamilton, Gary Matthews Jr., went out and got Torrey Hunter. The names are endless. Now, recently, Anthony Rendon's another big name. Yeah, you got Shohei Ohtani, but did you pay him a crap ton of money yet? No. You did pay a crap ton of money to Mike Trout to extend him and keep him here. But with all the good things that you could point to with Artie Moreno, what he's done as an owner of the Angels, there's one minor problem with all of this. And that's with the overdose death of Tyler Skaggs. I'm not pointing all the fingers at Artie Moreno. Granted, there was a guy that was in the personnel department working for the Angels that was tried and found guilty by the feds of distributing illegal substances in this clubhouse. You had a former player, Matt Harvey, testify that, yes, he was also distributing stuff in that clubhouse. This guy, who was found guilty by the feds, also in the midst of being accused and going into pretrial stuff, a story was out via ESPN that he and his mother were saying that Tim Meade, who was the head communications czar for the Angels, this guy who's been around for decades, I think he was even there before Artie was there. But regardless, Tim Meade was in communication with this guy. And his mother and the guy himself said that Tim Meade knew what was going on. So if Tim Meade knows what's going on, you might think Artie would know too. But again, I'm not pointing the finger at Artie to say he should have absolutely had some knowledge and gotten involved with all of this. You can keep secrets from guys in those kinds of positions. You certainly can. That's without a shadow of a doubt. But I find it incredibly disingenuous that all that has been happening after the fact, now the guy's been found guilty, going to be put away for a long time now, there's no accountability going with this Angels organization from that standpoint. No accountability whatsoever. So from a personal standpoint, I'm disgusted by this. It's rotting away at me. It's there in the back of my mind. It's like, wait a minute. Who knew what and when? How the hell did anybody get away with this without any of them knowing? How did this happen? Guys are going into that clubhouse constantly. Especially if you're communications, you're going in, getting guys set up, ready for interviews. You got to be at this. You got to do this interview at this time. Everything else. You see things. Things are seen in that locker room, in that clubhouse. Nobody saw this? I don't know. I find it hard to believe. But in the midst of this, Artie Moreno has done a poor job putting a team together for many years now. When he signed Anthony Rendon, he kept using the word enamored. He was enamored with Anthony Rendon. Had to get him. Had to pay him $250 million for 7 years. Did the same thing with Albert Pujols. He gave him $240+ million for 10 years, plus another 10 years of a service contract on top of that. The money has just been spending like crazy for bats that we really didn't need. The jury's still kind of out on Anthony Rendon, but I'd say it's kind of a waste at this point. He's got 4 years left on this deal. What's he done in the first 3? Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani are 2 of the best players in baseball right now. It's frustrating, I'm sure, as a lot of Angel fans are frustrated, as probably baseball fans are frustrated. Why the hell don't we see these 2 guys in October more often? Why? Why is that the case? It's the neglecting of pitching. There are teams that spend money to get pitching. There are teams that put the onus on getting the pitching in their farm system and up through into the majors. There are many teams that do that. They do a combination of both. What does Artie Moreno do? He decides to cut corners. He's not keeping scouting staffs readily supplied with what they need. They need resources. They need to be able to scout these players. They need to know, okay, who do we have our eyes on here? Granted, okay, a couple years ago, you spent all 20 of your picks drafting pitchers. That's, golf clap. Good job there. Good step forward. But was that Artie's decision or was that the GM, Perry Manassian? I don't know. Who decided to do that? It's a frustrating time to be an Angel fan. No doubt. A lot of people are frustrated with the fact that, why are you firing Joe Madden? Well, I would say you can't get rid of every single player unless you're Justin Upton, Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, guys that are making a lot of money, but you're kind of at the tail end of your contract already. Or in Hamilton's case, he was kind of right smack dab in the middle of it when they cut him loose, and he still played out a little bit of that contract back to Texas. But it's a frustrating time. I don't know what else to say other than Artie needs to just step aside, and getting cushy deals from now the former mayor of Anaheim with the stadium deal and the property around it. That could be null and void now because he's being charged federally for corruption. So you have other things you need to deal with, Artie. So maybe deal with that and let the GM, Perry Manassian, I'm assuming he had a say in this decision because he was very forthright in his conversation the day that Joe Madden was let go. So let Perry do his thing. And this is, I would assume, at face value, the way it looks right now, this is Perry's decision. Okay, he's running the show. Phil Nevin's in charge as the interim manager the rest of the season. See what he does. See if this thing gets turned around. There's still time. Like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. To get a wild card spot, that's the best I could say this team could do going into the season is a wild card spot. You've expanded the playoffs. That's the best they could do at face value right now. But are they going to win the division? Hell no. Not even close. It's not going to happen. They going to win the wild card? They should be able to get a wild card spot. The American League is very, very weak this year. With the guy that's in charge right now at the helm, Artie Moreno, I don't have a lot of faith left. I'm sorry, but he's going to have to just cut loose if things are going to change the way they're going right now. Because what's unfortunate about this whole thing is you're probably going to see Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani not play a single postseason game the rest of the way. Granted, Trout's played in 3 games. It was a sweep against the Royals back in 2014. You're not going to see him play in another postseason game unless he plays elsewhere. And the same thing with Ohtani. Ohtani's only got 1 more year left. 1 more year. It's going to be interesting. Going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. But Joe Madden had to go. You can't fire the entire player staff and GM after he's only been there for 2 seasons? You're gonna cut that whole thing again? No. So Joe had to go. We'll see how Phil does. Hopefully he does good. Gets them into the wild card spot at least, and we can get Trout and Ohtani and the rest into October baseball. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell below to get notified when all the latest videos are posted on this channel, whether it be at YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey. Bookmark WestonSportsGuy.com for that podcast link, social media links. Football season's just around the corner as we get closer to July and training camps. I can't stress it enough to bookmark WestonSportsGuy.com for all things in the world of sports. I will see you next time.